Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on FPL Now. Today we're going to be going over a potential wildcard draft for Game Week 15. I know most of us have played it by now, but if you haven't, you need to play it because we're getting free transfers after the Game Week 16 deadline. But either way, if you're excited for the video, drop a like down below, leave a comment what transfers are you making this week, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, in goal we do have Ward, but we also have Sanchez as well. Out of the last two fixtures before the World Cup, I think Sanchez is very likely to keep 2 clean sheets. Wolves, I know, is away, but they just look so bad at attacking. Also, Diego Costa's got a red card as well, so he can't play, and that's like their best attacking threat. So, I honestly don't think Wolves do anything to Brighton. And Brighton, I think after that Chelsea win, it really just kind of sorted them out, put them back into gear, and now we're going to see some really good results from them as well. So yeah, I think Wolves is an easy clean sheet for Brighton. And then Villa at home, I know that Villa have just got a brand new manager, but either way, I think Brighton at home are a really good team, and I just can't see Villa really scoring against them. So I think for the last two kind of fixtures before the World Cup, I think Brighton have really good chances of keeping clean sheets. Sanchez is only 4.6 mil as well. I would go with someone like Nick Pope, but it kind of stops you from having 3 outfield Newcastle players, and then other players as well like Edison, that stops you from having 3 City players. You could also go Alisson as well, but he's got Spurs and then Southampton, so Spurs are probably going to concede. Spurs are probably going to score against Liverpool, should I say. So there's not really any other like huge options. You've got Gaeta as well, but he's got West Ham away and Forest away, 2 away games. I just think Sanchez is a nice option. You've also got Ward as well for 4.1, just in case anything happens to Sanchez. Ward has some okay fixtures as well, Everton away and West Ham away. I know they're both away games, but in my opinion, I think Sanchez is just the best keeper to have for the last 2 fixtures. So those are the 2 keeper options. The back line consists of Gay, Cancelo, Dalot, Trippier, and White. So these all have pretty okay fixtures for the last 2 game weeks before the World Cup. Again, you wouldn't really play Gay this week either. He's got Forest in the last fixture if you wanted to play that. But, I mean, Cancelo, Dalot, and Trippier are the main players you're going to be playing, who all have pretty okay fixtures up until the World Cup. I know that Newcastle do welcome Chelsea in Game Week 16, but Newcastle is just so good at the moment. I can see them actually keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea. They just don't really have anything going forward at the moment. Chelsea don't. Like, Sterling's not been too great. Aubameyang's not been too great. Havertz hasn't been too great. Mount had a bit of a spell, but now he's kind of gone back a bit. They don't look like they're going to score many goals up until the World Cup. So I wouldn't mind playing Trippier at all in that game. I know in that game you also have you've got White against Wolves, and then you've also got Gay against Forest away. But I don't know. I think I'd back Trippier. It's a home game. He's on all set pieces, and then I'd definitely play Dalot and Cancelo as well. I mean, you can make your own mind up, but I think that's a decent back line for the remaining game weeks for until the World Cup. So yeah, all good options, I think. And yeah, that's the back line of the wild card. The midfield is Martinelli, Trossard, De Bruyne, Andreas Pereira, and Almiron. So this is very much a 3-4-3 formation, but that heavily decides on what happens to Haaland. You know, obviously he's not playing in the Champions League this week. Pep has already said that. He's got ligament damage. He said hopefully Haaland can help him or help the team against Fulham, so he could be back for the weekend. But if he's not, then obviously you have to kind of sort things out there. But if Haaland does play, this is the kind of midfield I would have. So yeah, Martinelli's got Chelsea and Wolves. Trossard has got Wolves and Villa again, just like I said about Sanchez. I think Trossard can score in both of those games. He just scored against 2 like relatively tough opponents, being Chelsea and City. So now that he's got easier fixtures, he should score more. I mean, I know that he blanked against, I think it was Brentford and Forest, but at the end of the day, he's a bit more in form now. He's playing a lot more forward as well, almost like a central striker. So I think Trossard should be in most wildcard teams if you still got your wildcard. And even if you don't, like, I think he's a really good transfer anyway. If you've got somebody like Zaha, or if Saka's injured or something like that, I think Trossard is a really nice punt for the last 2 game weeks up until the World Cup. And I've also gone De Bruyne over Foden. I've got just enough money in the bank to do this. I've got 0.2 if I was on a wildcard. And yeah, De Bruyne, I just don't think you have to worry about him not getting played and stuff. He's just the talisman in that team. Foden is a much cheaper option, but we've seen what happened with him the last 2 game weeks, being benched, coming on for both of those games for a 1-pointer. We'll see if he plays in the Champions League or not tonight, but De Bruyne is just a safer option. And yeah, he's on obviously like most corners and stuff like that. free kicks. I just think De Bruyne is just in the form of his life. He's just getting a little bit outshined by Haaland, but as soon as Haaland doesn't play, we see how good De Bruyne is. Scores a ridiculous free kick and then picks up like bonus and everything like that. So yeah, De Bruyne I think is a good option. You could also go like Salah as well if you wanted to. You could go like Salah, Foden. But I just don't know. I think De Bruyne with the fixtures he's got coming up, you know, Fulham at home, Brentford at home, 2 home games. I think he plays both of those games because obviously they're still playing catch-up technically with Arsenal. Yeah, I'd just go De Bruyne. Andreas Perez there just for a bench option. And then Almiron as well is another player that's just found form, getting attacked by the Man City team. Apparently, well, I say the Man City team was more Grealish. Seems to just give him the form of his life, and he's got like 6 and 6 or something. So yeah, I think Almiron is definitely a player that you should be having in your teams. Again, another good swap for Zaha or a Saka or something like that. If I was going to choose between Almiron and Trossard, I'd probably go with Trossard, just simply because his home game is a little bit easier than Almiron's home game. I know that Almiron plays in a better team, but with the likes of like St. Maximin coming back as well, Almiron's minutes might be a little bit less because he might but at the same time it shouldn't be because he's in the form of his life, so he should be playing every game. But you know what I mean, there's just situations there where Trossard might be a little bit of a better option. Obviously 1.4 more money though, so again at the end of the day it's up to you really. But either way, that is the midfield. And then up top we've got Haaland, we've got Wilson, and we've got Kane as well. There is a few options you can really do in this up front here. So Kane I think is just a staple. You know, he's got Liverpool at home, which I can easily see him scoring in anyway, and then Leeds at home as well before the World Cup. So again, two fixtures that he can easily score in and pick up some bonus points. So I think Kane is definitely a good option. Wilson, I think, is also a really good option. You know, he's also on penalties, trying to get a plane ticket to Qatar, get on that plane for the World Cup. So obviously he's going to try and score as many goals as he potentially can. So yeah, also a really nice option. If you didn't go Wilson, though, you could put Pope in goal. But then, yeah, Haaland, of course, depends on the injury. So if he is injured, there's a lot of different things you could do. You could put Haaland down to like a striker that doesn't play or something. I don't know, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. You bring in a cheap striker like, I don't know, Greenwood or something, someone that's just going to be on your bench. So you got 7.8 mil left really there. So if you wanted to do that, you could bring in, I think you could bring in like Salah instead of Trossard as well, which again isn't a terrible, option really. You know, they do have Southampton at home on the last day of the season. So he is last day. I keep saying last day of the season, the last day before the World Cup. So you could put Salah in there as well if Haaland's not in, and then you just play like 4-4-2, or you play a 5-4-1 or a 5, you know what I mean? Like you just kind of mix and match with it there if Haaland is out. And then at the same time though, Haaland probably will be back for Brentford, so it's a little bit worrying not having him for that team, for that fixture. Anyway, but either way, that's an option there. You could also go a little bit more expensive and bring in somebody like Calvert-Lewin, who I guess is a little bit of a punt up until the World Cup. He's got some nice fixtures. He's got Leicester and then Bournemouth. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to have Salah in that team if you went that direction. But again, still a nice option. You do have 4.1 mil in the bank though if you do that. But again, I don't really think there's anything wrong with a lot of these players in the team. So, you know, Calvert-Lewin is also an option, potentially on penalties as well. And then also Jesus, another option, also potentially on penalties if Saka is out. Does have the Chelsea away game though, and then Wolves away. So 2 away fixtures up until the World Cup. So could be a nice option, but I think there's probably better options. And then last but not least, you could also have Darwin Núñez as well, who, you know, if he plays, the Tottenham game will be a little bit difficult, but Southampton at home, really nice fixture there. So 3.1 mil left in the bank. I just feel a little bit bad having all that money in the bank and not doing anything with it, but I don't really know who else you bring in really. Like all the expensive players like Trent and stuff, you just don't really need in your team. Like there's better options that are a lot cheaper. So yeah, you could bring in Darwin Núñez and try and attack like the Southampton fixture, but hopefully Haaland is fine, and then you don't have to worry about any of that, and then you've got like a pretty decent team up until the World Cup. I really like this team. I think that this can score quite a few points over the next 2 fixtures. And then of course you have free transfers unlimited, so you can do whatever you want with your team. You can get rid of certain players if you don't want them. But either way, that's going to be everything for today's wildcard draft. Again, if you haven't played your wildcard draft yet, play it this week, because otherwise you just, I mean, I don't know why you'd still have it, because there were so many other good points in the season to play it, but maybe you didn't need to. but you may as well play it because, again, you try and get them as many points as you potentially can. But either way, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new. It's everything from me, though. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and until next time, peace.